What's up guys, FlamingVictini here, and we're back on Smog Tours for another Smog Tour game, I guess. This is round 2 of playoffs. We've got Blunder versus Soulwind, a highlight match of the round for sure. Two very good players, and both of them are bringing some trapping, which is quite interesting. So Soulwind's got some Dougie Rain, and Blunder does have a T-Tar, so that could help Soulwind out a bit to trap the T-Tar, but Blunder has a Gothitelle of his own. I'm not really sure what the Gothitelle set is. To be honest, Gothitelle is pretty weak, so I don't even know if it can really effectively trap Tentacruel or Politoed even, but we'll see. It depends on the sets for sure. And he's got a Rose Raid too. I don't see Rose Raid in Black and White or even ORAS OU much, but it's definitely a viable mon. And the thing is, one of its niches is T-Spikes, but Soulwind has a T-Spikes absorber in Tentacruel, and Blunder has his own T-Spikes absorber in Rose Raid, so that's going to be an interesting element of this game. I can see Garchomp doing a ton of work to Soulwind's team, like if it's SD Chomp, especially if it's a Lumberry, kind of just runs through Soulwind, because his best answer to it is Rotom, and that's not a very good answer. And pretty much his other answer is like a Scarf Politoed, or like sacking Sizzle or Dougie for damage to put it in range of the other, if it can even do that. So Garchomp is definitely looking like a big threat to Soulwind's team. And the combination of just hazards, plus if Blunder can remove the Tentacruel with the combination of like T-Tar, Pursuit Trapping, or Gothitelle, then that can put Blunder in a good position with the hazard game. So we see, oh my god, there's an HP Fire that does absolutely nothing. And Scizor U-turns on that Rose Raid, and I don't even know, can Dougie trap Rose Raid at this range? Because if it can, that's going to put Soulwind in a really good position. Oh my god, that HP Fire did nothing. I actually want to run a calc on this and see what's going on right here. As we've got Scizor, let's just say it's banned, and wow. Oh, that's in rain, so that's definitely a bulky Scizor. That has to be, like, careful with, like, some Spadef EVs, for sure, and the U-turn definitely can't be banded, obviously, but it still did a ton, so that's I don't know, I'm not really sure what this guy's spread is, but in comes the Dougie, and the EQ does take out the Rose Raid. So yeah, this Dugtrio is looking like a really big threat to Blunder's team, because it can definitely threaten the T-Tar, get Chip on the Keldeo and Garchomp, which could help Soulwind deal with them, so Blunder might want to actually counter-trap this Doug with the Gothitelle, but no, he goes to his Keldeo instead. Sorry about that, so he's probably going to fire off a Scald or a Pump right here. And Soulwind actually stays in with the Dougie to get up rocks and does not get burned. So that's going to be a little big, because Dugtrio at 1% is still a pretty scary threat, especially on a double or just on a sack, and then it comes in and it can do a lot of damage. So that not burning is definitely going to hurt Blunder. Here we see, oh, it's maybe E-Belt as he Secret Sword on the Rotom and get some chip on it, and here, oh, wow. So that's actually really interesting on Blunder's end, but I'm not sure why he didn't substitute the first turn to block the Wisp and then Secret Sword. Like, I guess, like, Soulwind is not going to let Blunder get 2 Secret Swords off on the Rotom in this gameplay, as exactly he just went to his Tentacruel. So I'm not really sure why Blunder let this Keldeo get burned, as Sub-CM Keldeo could have destroyed Soulwind's team. Depending on the sets, it really could have. So in comes the Garchomp before the T-Spikes go up, and Blunder goes straight for the SD. Now let's see the Lumberry here. No! Oh my god! It's actually sub-SD, and that Toxic is gonna save Soulwind's butt right here. Oh. Oh, so apparently Blunder misclicked the SD right there, and this Garchomp's gonna go down. Wow. Dang, so sub-SD, I can kind of understand why Blunder would use that versus Soulwind, but to be completely honest, I think Lumberry is a better choice if you're trying to beat Soulwind, because Soulwind, like, kind of depends on status a little bit to beat Chomp, especially looking at his team. It depends on Toxic to burn a potential Lum, T-Spikes, and the Wisp from Rotom, and Blunder already got the damage on Rotom to put it in range of Chomp, so Soulwind would have had been forced to go to Scarf Politoed to beat the Garchomp. And the Garchomp would have been at full health after removing the Dugtrio, but then again, I think once Soulwind got up those T-Spikes, I think he was kind of in a good position, like removing the Rose Raid and getting up those T-Spikes was really big, so yeah, like turn 1 plus 2 was just so big to remove the Rose Raid like that. It was actually really good for Soulwind, and I'm not really sure why Blunder did what he did against the Rotom. If I were him, I would have subbed on the Wisp and then fired off a Secret Sword to force. I guess if he just straight subbed, like the thing is, if he straight subbed, Soulwind can't just straight switch out to Tentacruel because Sub-CM Keldeo is gonna beat the Tentacruel. Like, Tentacruel doesn't run Haze in this gen, and Sub-CM Kel is just going to set up all over to Soulwind, so Soulwind can't even afford to just switch straight out to Tentacruel. He has to let the Rotom take a Secret Sword, and the way Blunder played it, he was trying to get off 2 Secret Swords against the Rotom, it seems, but it wasn't really that necessary, and he wouldn't have been able to get a chance to get that off, so I don't really agree with that. But yeah, we're going to move on to Game 2 right when it's back. Alright guys, we're back for Game 2. There's going to be the ORAS game this time, and waiting for the sprites to load, but Soulwind's team, wow. Hydreigon plus Terrakion, but it looks like a black and white team, which is really interesting. We see a typical Rotom from Soulwind, and we see a Celebi. You don't really see Celebi much these days in ORAS, but yeah, Soulwind's team could look like a black and white team, but it's definitely not meant to be that way, but it's very interesting, and the Hydreigon looks pretty threatening to Blunder's team. He doesn't really have a really good answer to it. But on Blunder's end, the Heracross looks like a really troublesome mon for Soulwind to take on, just because Heracross kind of really batters down on Lando T, and Lando T can't really threaten the Heracross much back at it. And I guess like Soulwind's kind of saving grace against like the Hera plus Sandcore is really good at wearing down its checks. In this case, Lando T, but Soulwind does have a Rotom again to also kind of deal with it, so that's kind of good for him. And Soulwind actually leads off with this Rotom, trying to get some momentum, as Blunder very nicely leads with the Mungus and fires off a straight Spore as Soulwind tries to stay in and Will-O-Wisp. Burning the Mungus is useful, but I'm not really sure how much I agree with letting the Rotom get put to sleep, because it's going to be really useful in the later stages of the game if it's awake. But Blunder goes straight into his Heracross on sleeping Rotom's first turn, and this could look threatening for Soulwind. This is knowing Blunder, and it's probably a bulky substitute Heracross, which is referred to nowadays as CBB Cross, because it's running a lot of HP, so it can tank Stone Edges from Lando T and keep it sub up, stuff like that. And we see he just goes straight for the pin missile right there, and that's good because you don't want to necessarily substitute with Heracross so early in the game, because you want to keep your bulk around for the later stages where it can be important. So he goes for a Rock Blast right here, and that's really wearing down the Lando T, but this lefty's recovery is actually proving to be extremely useful to Soulwind. He'd be at 50% health with this Lando T right here, really is reducing its bulk, because it's also going to get lefties in later turns, and that might help Soulwind out a bit with the Heracross and the Excadrill. He won't be able to get chip damage on the Excadrill, of course, but I think keeping your Lando alive longer could, even just for one more extra turn, could change the game. So the Soulwind, unless he has like Toxic, even I don't think he has Toxic. It doesn't really necessarily make sense for him to have Toxic on his team. And he doesn't even really have time to make use of it, even if he does have the Toxic. So we do see that the Lando is actually faster than the Heracross and goes for a U-turn on the Hera. Now he doesn't really have a good switch in, and he does go to his Scizor, and that is taking the Rock Blast decently well because of the -1. And it's going to be able to Mega Up right here. I don't know if Blunder wants to stay in. I don't know how much CC does after the Mega, because it is -1. But Heracross is extremely strong, but he does just switch out straight into his Rotom on what I presume to be a U-turn, and yeah, that Scizor is going to get the Hydreigon in, and yeah, Scizor plus Hydreigon when the opponent has a Rotom is really scary. Blunder might have to start switching in his Keldeo into that Scizor instead of his Rotom just to stop this Hydreigon from coming in, because his Dragon Resistance and Excadrill, which is not very sturdy at all. T-Tar generally is pretty good at taking on dragons, but not when he gets crit by a Draco Meteor. That's going to be really big. That Draco Meteor was going to be doing slightly above 50% without the crit, and after the -2, T-Tar would have been able to take another Draco Meteor, and that meant Blunder would have not only been able to get up rocks, which could help him out a lot, but it would also mean that he can keep his T-Tar around for sand, so that's going to be really big. Yeah, that's really tough for Blunder to take. I'm not really sure what he wants to do. Maybe he'll try to maybe he can get a little chip on this Hydreigon by going to Amoonguss and then like playing around Hydreigon. Like he could also pull a hard switch into Keldeo because Soulwind's definitely gonna just Dark Pulse right here. But yeah, like this is really bad for Blunder. Like that crit put him in a pretty horrible position. Now that this Hydreigon is in on the Amoonguss, but the burn in the sand has worn it down to half itself, I think Blunder's kind of forced to just sack his T-Tar right here, and then bring in his Excadrill. Like, he could bring in his Excadrill straight, but I don't really know, like, you can't even take a -2 Draco that well. Yeah, it's really not that easy if... I don't know, I'm thinking of what if Blunder's team had an Azumarill over Keldeo, but I guess that's not the point of this. So, I think Blunder's pretty much, like, he can't stay in, so he's gonna be switching out, and he does switch out to his T-Tar as Soulwind brings in his Lando T, and that leftover is really helping itself, helping that Lando T out with that recovery. It's really helping him, but I think maybe Blunder wants to go back into his Heracross. He can potentially grab a kill by doing that, but I'm not really sure. Like, this is really bad for Blunder, getting that crit and then being like, he also doesn't have the momentum. Soulwind has Terrakion in the Hydreigon, which is looking really scary, and yeah, it's really not an easy position for Blunder to be in right here. Really, I can see him going into Heracross or Keldeo. He might even go to Keldeo and then double switch into Heracross, predicting the Celebi, because the Rotom is asleep, but yeah, I could see that happening. I definitely could, but I don't really know if that's what's going to happen, because it also just lets Soulwind bring back the Lando T and get an Intimidate on the Heracross, so Blunder might just go straight Hero right here if he really wants to chip down this Lando T. He could also just go Excadrill and Iron Head if it's Air Balloon Exca, and it definitely looks like it would be Air Balloon Exca. Well, it doesn't have to be, because the Rotom is the only ground resist, and then there's the Heracross, but yeah, it definitely could be Air Balloon Exca. I think it will be. So Blunder's taking his time here, I guess really weighing his options, and he does go to his Excadrill. There is the balloon, so he might... The thing is, he doesn't really accomplish too much by spitting, so he does just Iron Head, does a solid chunk, and wow, there is the flinch. So that's gonna help him out a little bit, but it's really not the same as avoiding the crit on that Draco Meteor. That really hurt him. Does he get a second flinch? No, he does not. So the Lando T is gonna U-turn out, probably into Terrakion, as the Sand's gonna end this turn. And oh boy, if this is CB, Blunder just drops him on. I think his only real switch in is Amoonguss, and especially like if I mean, it's a little bit of a guessing game because the Terrakion's probably choice locked, and if it choice locks itself into a rock move, Keldeo or even Excadrill might be able to come in. No, sorry, Excadrill or maybe even Keldeo, because Excadrill's gonna take it better than Keldeo can with the quad resist. But at the same time, like, the burning the Amoonguss is really wearing it down, and the fact that rocks are up and pretty much sticking around, like, because especially since Blunder's lost his sand, he doesn't have as much free turns to create by pressuring Soulwind's team, so he's not going to be able to get these rocks off very easily, I'd imagine. Like, if that Lando T was dead because it was Rocky Helmet, then Blunder might have been able to get these rocks up and keep his Heracross and Amoonguss a little healthier, but now that he can't, he's really being worn down by the burn. Then again, I still think sleeping the Rotom was worthwhile to burning it, well, to getting Amoonguss burn, and he didn't really have a better play at that point in the game anyway on Blunder's end. But we see that close combat did nothing to the Amoonguss. That's probably a Choice Scarf Terrakion, maybe even like setup or something like that, but I'm thinking it might be just Choice Scarf because his team is a little slow at the moment. And we see Blunder go into his Excadrill. What was he predicting? I guess scouting for a rock move? I'm really not sure why he went to Drill right there, but he does go to Drill, and this Hydreigon is in, so yeah, this is looking scary for Blunder. He doesn't really have anything to switch into Hydreigon. Maybe he can... I mean, I don't even know if Dark Pulse can kill the Excadrill from this range, but this Hydreigon might have fire coverage. He might even have Focus Blast or Earth Power, but probably not. Probably fire coverage. Especially looking at Soulwind's team, I can really see fire coverage on his team. But because of the Scizor, because Scizor is a pretty big threat to Soulwind's team, and Ferrothorn is a nuisance. Actually, Ferrothorn's not that bad because of Celebi, which probably, I'm really not sure what Celebi does on Soulwind's team. Maybe it's a passer, but if it's passing, I'd assume it's SD pass, not, I'd assume it's SD pass, not Asti pass, because Hydreigon's breaking by itself anyway, and that's the only mon that it benefits from Nasty Pass. Rotom doesn't benefit that much, so Blunder's taking, actually Soulwind's taking his time here, I guess, considering what to do. Blunder might even go to Keldeo, and oh wow, he does go to his Keldeo right there on the Dark Pulse. Bam, yeah, so Soulwind definitely wasn't Draco metering there, so I can definitely understand going to Keldeo right there, and he pulls a double switch back into Drill on a Celebi, so I guess he wants to use this to spin. Like, I mean, if I were him, I would have considered just going Heracross and getting the hurt on Celebi, because he doesn't really have much to gain from spinning, since his Heracross is slower than that Landorus T. It's going to be able to get up rocks again, and there we see the SD. So this is SD pass Celebi. That is pretty interesting. So yeah, not every day you see Celebi, and especially not every day that you see SD pass on Celebi. But in comes the Heracross on the Baton Pass. I guess he is not risking the Celebi staying in the Seed Bomb, but and I guess it forces Soulwind to either go to his Terrakion and click a rock move, or to go to his Scizor. The thing is, like, I'm pretty sure that it's as like a bulky Heracross, so it can live a +2 BP from Scizor. At the same time, he really can't afford the damage on the Heracross, because it's the only thing that beats the Celebi. So I could see Soulwind going to Lando T, I could see him going to Scizor. I think he's honestly going to go to the Scizor or the Lando T, because the Lando T can at least threaten the Heracross being Stone Edged, which would put Soulwind in a really good position with his Celebi, plus he gets the Intimidate off and a little Leftovers recovery. Scizor, because he can trade the Bullet Punch damage for the, he can trade the Bullet Punch damage on the Heracross for Celebi to win later, or he can, and later on, like, Blunder's best switch-in is Keldeo or Rotom. Keldeo doesn't want to switch in when it's at 60 and the Scizor is +2. So if Blunder goes to Rotom and he can't go to Keldeo on the Scizor, then Soulwind can U-turn into a Hydreigon and get a kill from that. So Soulwind does choose the Scizor option. He's definitely going to click BP right here. Yeah, pretty much no reason not to click BP right here, and I think Blunder kind of has to switch. Like, he definitely can tank this Bullet Punch. I'm pretty confident that the Heracross can tank a Bullet Punch. I might even calc it, but Blunder, I think he's kind of forced to go to his Rotom right here, and that's going to mean that Soulwind's going to be able to U-turn on the next turn to his Hydreigon. But yeah, I'm going to run a calc. I just need to make sure that my intuition is right here about the Heracross. So I've got Heracross, Scizor, 248 HP, and some +2, and yeah, let's make this Adamant max attack, and yeah, that's definitely not killing. Even with 252, that's not going to kill the Heracross, but at the same time, taking 60% to 70% is just going to be really, really bad for Blunder, because that Celebi is going to run train over him, especially since that Heracross is so slow and it's outrun by the Celebi. Since it's outrun by the Lando T, so I'm presuming it's outrun by the Celebi. So there's the U-turn into Hydreigon that I was talking about, and there's, wow, so Excadrill lives on the edge against that Hydreigon Dark Pulse, and this Excadrill, oh, Soulwind actually switches out his Hydreigon. I guess it is Modest Hydreigon and Jolly Excadrill, so he doesn't want to take an Iron Head right there, and Soulwind pretty much just gets to U-turn right here. I mean, Blunder's going to go to his Keldeo to stop that Hydreigon from coming in, but yeah, Soulwind gets to U-turn right here and get a little momentum. He's probably going to go to Celebi and maybe just straight Baton Pass to stop that Heracross from coming in on an SD, and Blunder doesn't have too many options. He might make an aggressive play and stay in predicting the Baton Pass, so maybe just Secret Sword. Actually, I don't even know if Secret Sword kills the Lando T at the range it's at, but yeah, he does Scald and stay in on the Baton Pass, so he gets that predict correct. It's going to let Soulwind go to his Rotom or his Hydreigon if he wants to, though. That's what I'm a little worried about. I don't know why. I don't know if, like, I mean, Soulwind can go to his Hydreigon. He risks the burn, he risks Blunder just staying in and just fishing for a burn, and then the Life Orb plus burn killing it. He can also go to his Rotom and burn a sleep turn, because Scald is really not threatening the Rotom at all. I could see him going to Rotom for sure, yeah. Rotom, I mean, the thing is, he wants to stop that Heracross from coming in, whatever he does, because at this point in the game, it's Blunder's Heracross rarely threatens Soulwind's team, and Soulwind's Hydreigon really threatens Blunder's team, so he actually goes to his Lando T. He is 100% going into his Celebi right here. Like, I'm really sure that Soulwind's going to pull a switch into Celebi right here, so Blunder does pull the double switch into Heracross and gets it correct. There we go. So there's some progress on Blunder's end. Gets in that Heracross on the Celebi, and he's definitely going to trade the kill right here. Get this back to 5-5, and he's going to try to fight his way back into the game. That double switch really helps him out here, gets a little momentum so he can grab a kill, and start the battery of Heracross versus Soulwind's team. The problem is, Hydreigon outruns Heracross, so that's going to be really troublesome. But we do see Soulwind baton passing. Maybe he goes into, he can't even really go into Terrakion, predicting Blunder to not CC, because Blunder's definitely not going to CC right here, unless CC kills Lando T at -1. Then I might see him CCing, but, because Terrakion doesn't even really threaten Heracross if it's max HP and Terrakion is Edge. Scarf Edge. Soulwind might just go to his Scizor or his Lando T. Probably to his Scizor, because he doesn't want to go straight Lando T on a Rock Blast and die. I'm pretty sure it does 20%. And he does go to his Scizor, and that Rock Blast is going to take out that Scizor right here. And Soulwind could take this as an opportunity to go to Hydreigon. I mean, the reason I'm saying go to Hydreigon, it may not kill the Heracross at 85, but look at Celebi versus Blunder's team. Amoonguss can't really threaten Celebi much at all, especially since it's burned. If it wasn't burned, then the Celebi is not threatening the Amoonguss. But since the Amoonguss is burned, the Celebi kind of 1v1s the Amoonguss, and Celebi 1v1s Rotom, and 1v1s Keldeo, and it 1v1s the Excadrill. So getting a Draco Meteor off on the Excadrill might just win the game for Soulwind. Blunder needs to keep this Heracross healthy, but instead Lando T comes in, so Soulwind might just be getting hit as Rock so he can chip down on Blunder's team, and then go to Hydreigon. That definitely might be Soulwind's play of choice right here. Let's just make sure. Yeah, Rock Blast is killing the Lando T, and Blunder just say in to Rock Blast at Lando T and take it out, but here we're probably going to see the Hydreigon come in, and yup, here's the Hydreigon. So Blunder cannot stay in with his Heracross right here. His Excadrill is dead to the Rock, so it's probably going to come in right now and as a sack, and then in comes the Keldeo, I presume. I think that's really the only play of choice on Blunder's end. And Soulwind, he can Roost. I mean, if I was Soulwind, I may not want to risk Roost in this position, but at the same time, Roost could help him. Like, I mean, to be completely honest, he doesn't even need to Roost, but I feel pretty confident that Soulwind, if he wanted to, could Roost right here, and pretty safely, because Excadrill's sack is definitely coming on Blunder's end. But the thing is, Soulwind doesn't really need to risk it, so he's probably just going to Draco Meteor right here, as Blunder sacks his Excadrill. And yeah, I think Blunder's just considering, yep, there's the Excadrill sack. Does Soulwind Roost? Nope, not a baller. So, alright guys, I'm back, and we've got this Keldeo in on the Hydreigon now, and the thing is about this Keldeo checking Hydreigon is that Soulwind's only switch in really to Keldeo is a Celebi or a Sleeping Rotom, and that's when Heracross can come in and get a kill, and that's really big, because basically whenever Soulwind's Hydreigon comes in, it's going to grab a kill, and whenever Blunder's Heracross comes in, it's likely to grab a kill. And it's not 100% to grab a kill, it could, like, a little bit of CC, like, Soulwind might try to go to Terrakion or something, but it's definitely not easy. And the other thing is that the Heracross might actually be Substitute. And if it is Substitute Heracross and he subs on a switch to a Sleeping Rotom, that's going to be really big. And wow, there we see a big Secret Sword on that Rotom, just taking it out. So instead of the Heracross getting a kill. Actually, Keldeo gets a kill because Soulwind doesn't want to go to a Celebi and let in that Heracross. And here's a little game between Baton Pass versus attacking. Like, Soulwind could, yeah, he does go to his Amoonguss and not his Heracross, as Soulwind does Baton Pass straight out. See, if Blunder stayed in and Secret Sorted, that would have put Soulwind in an awkward position, but in comes the Hydreigon yet again, and Blunder's gonna sack his Rotom right here, and also forces a Draco Meteor, so this might actually be a chance for him to ring in his Heracross right now, and grab a kill, maybe even try to... This is really difficult for Soulwind. I actually think, oh, there's the Draco Meteor, does a solid chunk, and there's the CC to take out the Hydreigon. So now it's actually, what is the chance that Celebi is Seed Bomb and can take out the Heracross? Like, I'm not really sure. This could, because the Celebi does outrun the Heracross, and if the Celebi gets up a Swords Dance, it might actually, the Heracross might actually not be able to beat the Celebi. And that's a little bit unusual, but it could happen. Seed Bomb. Yeah, +2 Seed Bomb will probably take out the Heracross, even if... yeah, because of the rocks, it definitely will. And that actually could change the game. If it is Icy Wind Keldeo, then he can definitely beat the Celebi that way. The Heracross can come into rocks twice. And so that's some benefit for him right there. The other thing is if Blunder's Amoonguss is Clear Smog, then that might help him, but at the same time his Amoonguss is burned and he needs it to beat the Terrakion, so it's also a difficult game right here because Soulwind's Terrakion pretty much gets a kill right here, and I mean, it's a little tricky because I think the Terrakion is Choice Scarf. We saw the Amoonguss damage earlier, and that was definitely not banned damage. So I'm just gonna guess it's Choice Scarf, and that does represent the CC damage we saw in the Amoonguss earlier. So let's see how much Stone Edge does, and that is gonna be a 2 KO provided it does hit twice. And seeing how much it does to Keldeo, they're 27 to 32.5, and oh, he does just go for the CC and not the rock move. So I don't know, maybe this is not Scarf Terrakion, maybe it's Rock Polish or something, that might make a difference, but the Celebi is definitely looking like he can just come in and kind of like, Amoonguss doesn't even really beat the Celebi, the best it can do, I don't know, it's very, very tricky. Oh, the other thing, if Blunder can bring in his Heracross on the Celebi before it gets a chance to Swords Dance, then he can do a little work right there, but then again, it is a 50-50 between Pin Missiling on a Terrakion switch-in, and pretty much if he Pin Missiles on a Terrakion switch-in, he loses, because I think he'll eventually lose to Celebi itself, and if he CCs on the Terrakion, actually, how much does -1 Heracross, Mega Heracross, Celebi, not minus attack with Seed Bomb to a max HP Heracross at -1 defense. It's looking like Seed Bomb could be enough to kill it after Stealth Rocks, so Blunder says he misclicked right there, the Giga Drain. I'm not really sure. Oh, he misclicked Spore. He missed the Spore. I was lagging a little bit because the chat pulls itself down, but in comes the Seed Bomb on the Amoonguss, and there is the Clear Smog, but yeah, he doesn't have his Keldeo has to be Icy Wind, and even then I think he loses. I think he needed to pull a double switch. I think what Blunder needed to do was pull a double switch into Heracross on the Celebi, CC on a Baton Pass into Terrakion, then sack Amoonguss to the Celebi and keep it at low attack, Icy Wind the Celebi with the Keldeo, and then finish it with a Pin Missile from Heracross. I think that was how Blunder would have won this game, but I think Soulwind is in a position where he can kind of just spam SD, to be completely honest, and his Celebi will win. The best Blunder can do is go to his Keldeo now, Icy Wind the Celebi. He does go to his Keldeo now. On the ST, he can Icy Wind the Celebi now, and then he can CC the Terrakion on the switch-in, but it's not going to be enough. Now, if Soulwind switches out his Celebi into his Terrakion, fearing like something crazy like HP Bug, which this Keldeo definitely is not because he has a Heracross on his team, Or, yeah, so there's, yeah, so Blunder did have the icy win, so I think he would have won if he pulled the double switch in the Heracross. The problem is he ices, but then Celebi just switches out and then it wins, so, because the CC is going to give the drops, and it won't be able to take a Seed Bomb after that. So yeah, this is pretty much exactly what I said, except he already lost the Keldeo, and that's going to be the game. So yeah, the Seed Bomb does take out the Heracross, and that's going to be the game. So that's pretty big, and CBB Cross's bulk definitely helped, but man, the lessened speed, I would definitely run a little bit more speed on the Heracross. Wow, that is pretty insane game. You usually don't see a Celebi beating Heracross. In fact, you don't even really see a Celebi in OU. Like I said in the beginning, this Soulwind's team looks really like a black and white team almost. It's very, very interesting, but yeah, this game is pretty much done. So Soulwind is going to take the win 2-0 against Blunder. Man, that black and white game was kind of unfortunate for Blunder. He misplayed, I think he misplayed a little bit, and then there was that misclick which just completely ruined him. But yeah, that's going to be the ORAS game, very close. Heracross and Hydreigon showing why they're such big threats, and yeah, that's going to be the game. Hope you guys enjoyed and learned something from that. If you did, please subscribe if you haven't already, leave a thumbs up and a comment. I really like to read your guys' comments, and yeah, that's it. So see you guys later.